Hey guys, this is Mike Mahaffey, the old bastard BJJ guy, here for BJJ Mental Models. Back in my day, we had to walk uphill in the snow both ways to get to the academy just to learn some crappy technique from a random purple belt. You kids have it so easy because now you can just subscribe to BJJ Mental Models Premium and get tons of great audio courses to learn new techniques, enhance your mindset, and entertain yourself. You can even get personalized rolling reviews from some of your favorite BJJ Mental Models coaches, including me. It's like having your own seminar, you spoiled little whippersnappers. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe to BJJ Mental Models Premium right now, get off my lawn, and go train.
Hey, welcome to BJJ Mental Models. I'm Steve Kwan. BJJ Mental Models is your guide to a conceptual and intelligent jiu-jitsu approach, and today I'm back here for the third of our mini episodes. Hope everyone's been enjoying these so far. I certainly have. It's been really nice to get back in and refresh with some of the content that put us on the map in the first place. So today our topic is going to be structure. Now, you might be wondering what exactly I mean by that. If you are unfamiliar with our work and you're unfamiliar with some of the stuff from BJJ Concepts, Rob Biernacki's site, you might not know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm going to try to explain this today here and why it's so helpful for getting better at jiu-jitsu more quickly. In the first episode, we talked about base. In the second, we talked about posture. Hopefully there was some value in the definitions we provided, but those are two ideas that are probably at least somewhat intuitive to people. Structure's a little bit different. So Rob Biernacki defines structure as the ability to effectively utilize your limbs. So your arms and your legs. What does this mean? Well, basically it means, can you keep your arms and your legs in athletic positions where they're strong and they can do the things that they are meant to do? So to give you an example, if your leg is straight, it's probably in a pretty strong position, especially if you're crouched down a little bit, you're loaded up on the balls of your feet. That's where your legs are really powerful and athletic. But think about what happens if your knee gets flared out to the side. Basically, you go bow-legged. Where this can happen a lot in jiu-jitsu is with certain types of sweeps, like waiter sweeps, or sometimes this happens if you're attacking from single leg X-guard, where the leg bends out to the side. You've probably noticed that when that happens, it doesn't matter how strong your legs are, all of the power goes away in that moment. And the reason why is because the structure of your leg is compromised. Effectively, the other person has taken your leg out of the natural range of motion where you can utilize the muscles, the powerful part of the leg. And now, it doesn't matter how big and strong you are, if your knee is flared out to the side, there's not much you can do with that. And your arms have similar limitations as well. The arm is relatively strong if you're in a bicep curl position, but if I start twisting your arm one way or the other, like an Americana or Kimura, anyone who's been in those moves knows how quickly your arm weakens, and at some point it doesn't matter how big or strong you are, you simply cannot engage the muscles and use those weapons, your arms and your legs, the way they were intended to be used. So a big part of jiu-jitsu is being able to keep structure for yourself while being able to take it away from your opponent. And this is kind of similar to when we talked about posture in the last episode. That's basically an attack on the spine. Structure is an attack on the arms and the legs. You should always be trying to make sure that no matter what happens, you don't let your arms or your legs get twisted up into a position where you can no longer use them in a strong fashion. Think of weightlifting, for example. If your arm is twisted into a position where you could not do the kind of exercises you would want to do in the gym, that means your structure is compromised. Similarly with your legs, if it somehow gets caught at an angle where you cannot use the powerful muscles in your leg, your structure is compromised. Now, why does all of this matter? The reason it matters is because in jiu-jitsu, it can be tremendously complicated to remember where your arms and legs need to be at all times. Even very experienced grapplers will sometimes wind up in situations that they just simply haven't seen before. And if you try to turn jiu-jitsu into a game of remembering what to do with all of your hands and your feet, that can be a very complicated thing to do in the moment, especially if you're new to jiu-jitsu, where everything already feels really overwhelming. And especially when you're talking about the arms and the legs, little differences to the angle of your arm or your leg can have a huge impact on how meaningful your offense or defense can be. Not so much so with the spine, for example. There's only so much range of motion with the spine that you can achieve. But with your arms and your legs, just moving your elbow in or out by a few degrees can tremendously change how impactful the situation is going to be for you. And at some point, as you train and you get familiar with positions, you will get better at knowing all of those little micro details. But again, even the most experienced grappler in the world will eventually encounter a situation where they just haven't seen it before and they haven't yet memorized the right placement of every part of their body. That's where structure becomes so important to understand, because it is a governing concept that ties together the ways that you should move your arms and your legs. So what it tells us is, don't worry so much about remembering where to put your left hand and your right hand and your left foot and your right foot. Think instead about, can I use my arms and my legs in a way that is strong? Am I able to generate power with them? If I were going to the gym and doing exercises from this angle, could I do it? Can I hold myself in a firm position where my opponent cannot move me around, or are there attempts to push and pull me, really off-balancing me? Those kinds of things matter a lot when it comes to structure. If you're not able to use your arms and legs effectively, that means your structure is not as good as it could be. So this is a good governing principle. Rather than worrying about exactly where your hands and your legs are, just always be thinking, are they in a strong position right now where I can use them like I would use if I was doing exercises? And similarly, if your opponent can grab you and pull you around and move you, that is a sign that your structure was probably not as good as it could have been. So once you've got your structure protected, you need to start asking, how can I attack my opponent's structure? How can I twist their arms and legs so that they cannot use them to maximum effectiveness? One of the common problems that people have in jiu-jitsu is, how do I deal with a bigger, stronger opponent? It doesn't matter how big their arms or their legs are. If you're able to attack their structure, then the muscles that they've got matter a lot less than if they're in that powerful position where they can use those muscles. So you should always be looking for ways to twist arms and legs, even if you don't necessarily have a move in mind. Just attempting to attack your opponent's structure will probably set up other things that you could do. A great example of how you can attack structure in jiu-jitsu, or really for most martial arts, is what is called crossing the center. You might have heard this concept. If you put your arm across the center of your body, your spine, that's usually a bad thing. If you let your legs go across the center of your body, it can cause the same problem. Why is it bad? Because when your arm is pushed across the center of your body, it's hard to use your muscles effectively. You'll notice that a lot of attacks involve doing this. For example, think of the gift wrap. That is an example of breaking someone's structure because they can't effectively use their arm. You have passed it across the center of their body, and that makes it really weak. So always be looking for those attacks where you can deny someone their structure, but always remember, first and foremost, protect your structure. Don't worry too much about breaking their structure if they're breaking yours. Deal with yourself first, and then we can talk about breaking your opponent's. Now, hopefully this is a simplified framework that helps you better understand what to do with your arms and legs and what to do with your opponent's arms and legs. Where this is really all going to come together is in the next mini episode, where we're going to talk about alignment. People familiar with our work or Rob Biernacki's work will be familiar with this term. So far, we've talked about base, posture, and structure. Together, those are the three components of Rob's alignment framework. It's a really powerful system for understanding jiu-jitsu and making it simpler, making better decisions in the moment. So that's going to be the topic of the next episode. We'll get to it then. But again, thanks so much for listening. Hope you really enjoyed this mini episode and the other ones we've made. I really enjoy making them. If you want more like this, everything else we make lives at BJJMentalModels.com, and we'll talk to you soon.